Hi there, my name is Brandi. This is going to be floss tube number 1, and I'm going to do a WIP parade. I wanted to give you a little bit of information about myself. Like I said, my name is Brandi. I live in Oregon, less than an hour from the coast, and I have a husband. We've been married almost 12 years, and we have 4 children. Our oldest is a daughter who is in college, and she is 20. We have a son who just turned 16 in August. He's a junior in high school. And then we have almost 11-year-old identical twin girls who just started 5th grade. You might see them in some future videos because the twins would like to help out with this. So we'll have to see if that happens. As far as stitching goes, I started stitching probably 4.5 years ago or so. I was a manager at a Joann's, and the cross stitch kits always intrigued me, and they also really scared me. So I had a friend at the time who worked with me, was my boss at Joann's, and she was a cross stitcher, and she convinced me to give it a go, and the rest is history, I guess. I've been cross stitching ever since. I do like to stitch all kinds of patterns. I stitch everything from full coverage all the way down to smalls, everything in between. I don't really have a favorite designer. I like everything. Fabric wise, I like to be in like 18-20 count Aida, up through linen. I just started working on 40 count linen not long ago, so that's kind of been a fun adventure. If you hear anything or see anything kind of funky, I do have 4 pets, and currently 3 of them are in the room with me. We have 2 cats in the room with me, and then I have my pit bull Olaf who is in the room with me, and I expect our border collie mix Avalon to pop her head in sometime because she always likes to be where her people are. This is my second time trying to record this video. The first time the video recorded upside down, and I didn't realize it until it was all edited and everything was ready to go, and then I couldn't figure out how to flip it. So hopefully we will get this all in one shot. I have water with me. Hopefully you guys have something to drink, something to stitch on. When I recorded this the first time, it ended up being about an hour and a half. I do have about 35 projects, so hopefully you have something to keep your hands busy during that time. And I do apologize ahead of time. The first time I filmed this, all my bags were unzipped, and since then I put everything back so that it stayed organized, and about half of them are zipped up now. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so I'm just gonna start with a pile I have here. Some of these first ones that I'm gonna show are on I do participate in WIP Go, and that was started by Jessie Marie Does Stuff, and I do have 2 WIP Go boards. I have a full coverage WIP Go board, and then I have my non-full coverage WIP Go board, and I do the 2 numbers each month from each board. I don't really have hard and fast rules for how long I have to work on something or how many stitches I have to put on something. Usually my minimum is about 3 days, but my days are literally just being able to touch it. So we will start with that here. So the first thing I'm going to show you is, I'm going to put the pictures up in when I edit of these ones that I don't have cover photos for. So this one is called Ruby Rooster. I got it off of Etsy. It's by Busby Designs. I'm stitching it on a 28 count even weave and with the called for DMC. So this is where I'm at on it. I'm about 25.49% done on this guy. It's a project that I'm stitching for my best friend Autumn. She does know about it. I've also restarted it twice, but it's a lot of confetti and it makes it really hard to work on. And I am stitching it 1/1/10 stitch on this, so it is teeny tiny, but you know, someday it'll get done. All right, get everything put away here. Okay, next is a project that I work on while camping. This is called Happy Campers by the Blue Flower. And it smells like campfire because we were just camping. We got home yesterday. This is a project for my daughter, Cadence. She saw this when it first came out and decided it was hers, and this is what I had to work on when we were camping from now on. So this is where I'm at. Doing pretty good. This past weekend I stitched that fire in the center, and I did the boxes underneath the trees. I did find an error in this one here. I had stitched this tree down one, so all I did was take out the bottom row of the trunk and move it up one so that everything could still line up. This is really fun to work on. Usually goes pretty quick. I will say I'm stitching this on an ivory Lugana that I got at Acorns and Threads, which is my local LNS. It's a 32 count ivory Lugana, and you can't really see, like if I go in really close, you can see those white flowers, but to just look at it, you can't really see them. So I'm thinking about ripping those ones out and doing them in another color, but I'm not really sure yet. We'll have to see. Not quite there. So yeah, Happy Campers by the Blue Flower. Using the called for overdyed floss for that, and DMC. It's a mix. Okay. Whoops. Let me put the pattern away. Otherwise, it will be lost forever. Okay, so next is a full coverage. I'll show you the image on my tablet because I do try to use Pattern Keeper for these full coverage ones. So this is Heaven and Earth Designs Tiki Beach Sunset The Story Keep. It is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artwork is by Amy Stewart. And I love this one because it reminds me of Hawaii, and it's one of our favorite places to vacation. So that's what it looks like. Normally I don't park on my full coverage, but I am trying it recently. So there's a lot of hanging threads in this one. This is where I'm at right now. Usually I start, in the top left corner, top right corner. I start on the top, but on this one I started in the bottom, and this is how far I am. I am about 22.48% complete. I am stitching it on a 25 count easy guide 1/1 full cross. And right now where all these threads are is this tree coming up, and that is what I've been filling in. But also been trying to work on filling in the sand. There's a turtle right here, and I want to get him filled in. My needle minders. Sorry guys, I don't know where most of my needle minders are from anymore. So yeah, that's the beginning of the turtle. We have an iguana guy here. I was so tickled when this tiki torch finally was finished, and you could tell what it was. Made me very happy. But yeah. That one is on my WIP Go board still to be called for the year. It's not done yet. Okay. Next is Manor at Quaker Hill by Brenda Gervais from With Thy Needle and Thread. I'm stitching this on a 36 count linen. I'm not really sure where I got it from, but I think it was just a 1, 2, 3 stitch, like natural raw linen. And I don't track my stitches for the ones that are paper patterns, so I don't know stats on these, but let's see if we can. This is how far I am. So I have all of page 1 done, and then I think I'm just finishing up the grass in the pond on that bottom page, and then I'll have 2 pages totally done. Last time I stitched on this was in August when I was visiting my grandparents. And I'm using the called for over dyes on this too. It's just so pretty. And those are my initials in there. Okay. Next is a WIPCO call that I just worked on last week. This is Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. This is one of those patterns that when it came out, I pre-ordered it immediately because I loved it so much. I am doing the Roxy Floss Co. conversion that they did on this. That was Bridget from the Museum Stitcher. Definitely gave me a little push on her video when she showed it. That was what I needed to do. So I went and bought that. I'm stitching this on a 32 count linen called Andrew from Grace Notes Fabrics. I'm a part of their Fabric of the Month Club. All right, sorry, this is super wrinkly because I was working on it 2 days ago, and then I put it away. So the fabric is like this really nice blue gray kind of color. So when I was stitching in this WIP Go session, I finished that red mushroom at the bottom, all of this flower here and stem, and that spider web and this bird. my daughter Nicole wanted me to get that bird stitched. So that was the goal for this one. And that hanging thread there is the moth that is, or butterfly that is above that bird's head. I will say, if you want to do the conversion from Roxy Floss Co., these colors do turn out a lot grayer than what the pattern shows. The pattern definitely shows more blue in the flowers and the moths, and that kind of thing. And then one other change that I made was this red mushroom I stitched with Cosmo 467 because I could not see a difference in the called for Roxy Floss and that dark red on the pumpkin, and I wanted to be able to distinguish it more. So yeah, that's coming along nicely. All right, sorry, now we're gonna get into some zipping bags. I apologize. Okay, next project is called Say Coffee by Heartstring Samplery. This is what it looks like. So far, I have that little green bird up top, and I'm working on the red motif underneath him that he's sitting on. I'm stitching this on a 32 count opal linen called Pensiera from Grace Notes Fabrics. And I'm doing my own floss conversion. So I'm just doing a similar floss pull. Some of it's over dyed, some of it is DNC. If you would like it, I'd be happy to share it. So the fabric itself is like this really lovely, light lavendery, pinky kind of mottled, and it has a really nice shimmer to it. I have not worked on this in a while. It's not on any boards this year because I started this one after I made all of my WIP Go boards. That one's a lot of fun to work on. That little bird seems like he is got a little bit of attitude, and he makes me really happy. All right, this next one is called Life, and it's by Design Works. This is the one that I used to work on while camping before Happy Campers came out and took over everything. This is a kit that I was gifted, and I am stitching it with the kit Floss, but not the kit fabric, because it came with a 14 count Aida, and that's just not really what I enjoy stitching on. So I took a 28 count linen that I had with me that was sent in a stitch quarterly from Fat Quarter Shop for another project. And this is how far I am. Last time I worked on this, I was just working on filling in the word perfect. There is 3 different colors of orange in there, so it is a bit time consuming. And this normally just lives in the camper since I usually just stitch on it there. When I get a little bit further, I'm deciding whether or not I should, I know I'm going to stitch the words, and I know I'm going to stitch the camper and possibly the trees. I don't know about the stars or the word or the outline around the words or that banner. So I don't know. I definitely won't do the stars. I don't care for those. And this will hang in our camper when it is all done. That one's a pretty fun, easy stitch when I work on it. Okay, next is called Rising in the East. It is a Beauty and the Beast pattern that I got from Etsy. Sorry, I'm pulling up the picture here. Artwork is by Chris Darrell. And there's 55 colors in it. Most of them are brown. So, and it looks like that's where I got it from. Addict to Cross Stitch, Beauty and the Beast, Rising in the East, artwork by Chris Darrell. So Beauty and the Beast is one of my absolute, well, it is my favorite Disney movie. And this is, I'm going to leave it in the hoop just because I have it where I want it. But I'm stitching this on an 18 count oatmeal that I got from Michael's with the called for DMC. And that's where I'm at. So I'm using the typewriter method on this now, where I'm taking the top symbol that needs filled in and I'm kind of filling in stitches around it in that thread and then going to the next symbol. And I got that from Sarah the Stitchin Mommy. And it seems to work pretty good and help keep me organized and motivated. This is on my WIP Go board probably 3 more times this year, just because I really wanted to get more progress on it. I'm only a little over 13% complete on it. But it's fun to stitch. Like, I can get quite a bit done on it when I sit down and work on it. It's just a lot of brown, which is not a whole lot of fun. Okay. This next one, I started this one just a couple weeks ago because I was feeling very autumny. It's called Penny Pumpkin by the Scarlet House. I'm stitching this on a 32 count Grace Notes Fabrics called Aqua Fresca linen, and I just got this in my box, or my fabric of the month last month. I am stitching it with my own, some of the called for, and then what I didn't have I substituted with similar. And this is also in the hoop. So, because I was just working on this a week or so ago. This is where I'm at. The whole border outline is stitched. I need to finish the inside of those penny borders, and then I'm working in that top motif of the star. So I got that whole border and that star done in like 2 days. It was pretty quick, but it's really pretty, and that fabric is showing pretty true. It's a little lighter than that. Yeah, more like that. But I think it'll be really pretty. All the colors pop really well on that. So. Okay. Next is Celebrate Christmas by Madame Chantilly. I'm doing the called for DMC on this, and I'm stitching on a 36 count raw linen that I got from Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Sorry, the camera is shaking the table there. This is what it looks like. The only change that I made is I'm doing the flowers in a brighter red, just because I wanted them to be a little bit different. Last time I stitched on this was in July, I think, for Christmas in July stitching. And this is where I'm at. So this is the called for red, and the flowers I'm changing to this brighter red, just so they stand out a little. And last time I was working up in that jar on top, getting that tree stitched in. I love these tier tray patterns from Madame Chantilly. I also have the 4th of July one, and I think the summer one. But I'm only going to do one at a time. And there's a deceptive amount of stitching in these trays. Like, it's a lot. So, like I said, stitching it on a 36 count, 2/2. I just realized I haven't been telling you all that. I'll try to get better. 2/2 on the 36 count with the called for floss. All right. Next is, I'm going to have to pop a picture of this one in so that you can see it. This is called the Saxon Sampler. I got this on the Silk app that is available for iOS devices. And I'm not going to try to say, because I'm going to say it wrong. I know the Cross Stitch MD Shiloh, she is so good at saying this, and I don't want to butcher it, so I'm not going to. I am stitching, I saw this on Instagram and fell in love with it, so I had to go find it, and I bought that app just for this pattern. And I'm stitching it on a 40 count XU Designs lamb's wool with the called for DMC, just a couple of substitutions because I didn't have all of them. And that's the full width of the pattern, but it is long and skinny. And I'm stitching this 1/2 with good light, because this one is hard to see sometimes. And the fabric is a really light kind of baby pink-ish color that just a really nice neutral that I like. And hopefully I can pop that picture in so you all can see what that one looks like. This was the reason I started working on a 40 count, was because that called for a 40 count, and it's massive on a 40 count. So I didn't want to do anything lower in count than that. And so that pattern is the reason I started. Okay, next is the Summer by the Cricut Collection. And this is what it looks like. Right now I have just finished that sunflower and one of the carrots underneath it. So I'm about halfway. I am stitching this with the called for floss. And I'm stitching it on an unnamed Opal Lugana 32 count that I got from Be Stitch Me, one of the Friday night fight nights that Brandi does, because those are a lot of fun and a good way to build stash. So this is where I'm at. I did make an error in counting when I did that M, and so I had to adjust the sunflower. So I have to get the carrots in before I start stitching that other M, just to make sure. But that's a pretty good representation of the color too. It's a really nice model, and it is opal, so there is some shimmer to it. I don't know if you can see it, but it'll be really, really pretty when it's done. And I have all the seasons, but again, one at a time for these ones. All right, next is the Raccoon by Cottage Garden Samplings. So 36 count linen by Fiber on a Whim. And I'm stitching it with the called for floss. Excuse me. Bless me. All right, the raccoon. Called for floss on the 36 count eggshell linen that I got. And I am stitching this 1/2. And this is where I'm at. Last time I was working on this, I started in the raccoon's tail. I have all of the patterns in this collection. I'm just doing them one at a time, but most of them I do have kitted up. So yeah, that one's pretty fun. Okay, this one is another Beauty and the Beast pattern called Belle that I got on Etsy. And this is by Stitch Fairy Treasures. This is what she looks like. I am stitching her on a 32 count opal linen called Raspberry Latte by Grace Notes Fabrics. And I am 1.09% complete. I've only worked on this twice, 2 or 3 times. It's coming up. The fabric looks kind of brown in this, but it's this very nice kind of pink, light pink color. So sorry if you see me peeking down there. I can't see what you all see. So all right. Next is Flower Garden, or I call this Flower Garden. This is called Rose Granny Flower Garden, the June one by Carolyn Manning Designs. I'm stitching this with my grandma, and we are doing this big one down here. You get all of these patterns with it when you buy it, but we're doing this big one here, this granny square one. My grandma is a crocheter and a knitter, so this really appealed to her. And she picked this month to work on. We started this probably about 3 years ago together. But we both have gotten distracted, so it's not done yet. I'm stitching it on an 18 count dyed by me light pink 18 count fabric, and this is where I'm at. This one is usually the one I work on in the car. I get really horrible motion sickness in the car, and cross stitching really helps keep me from getting nauseous. And so this one is really easy because a lot of it is repeating patterns, so you don't have to look at the pattern a lot while you're doing it. So yeah, I am 55.17% complete with this, and I did do a floss stash conversion. It's all DMC floss, but I didn't have all of the called for, so I just chose similar, and that's where I'm at. Okay. Excuse me. Next, we have From the Heart Needle Art by Wendy, the March Quaker. I am only stitching the months of my family's birthdays in this series. So I have April and May done, which is my husband and our oldest daughter. I'm working on March, which is my birthday, and then I have August and October waiting for me to finish this one. I am stitching this on a 36 count raw linen, just that I had pulled from stash, and the floss is similar to the called for, but is my own pull. I have just DMC is what I'm using. So I'm getting pretty close on this one. I have that big giant pot is pretty much done now. I have one more flower to stitch right here, and then that pot is done. And then I just have, and I have the bird done. So I have this done here. So then I need to do this motif here, and then I need to do this side. So I normally work on this one when I'm at the girls' sporting events, and they just started volleyball again, and they have practice twice a week. So this will start coming with me to practice, and hopefully I'll be able to get some good progress on it and finish it before too long, because that one is a pretty quick stitch. Okay, next is Pandemic. Everybody knows what Pandemic looks like. I got this, I was a little late to the party with Pandemic. It's in the bag, because I do stitch this out of Pattern Keeper, but I have the paper pattern with me just so that I can use it if I need to. I started this January 2021. My grandparents got it for me for Christmas. When I originally started it, I started this with a variegated DMC floss that I did not like at all. And it looked like that. I'm stitching it on an 18 count Barnwood by Picture This Plus. But I just did not like the way that was looking on this fabric. I think it would be really lovely on a lighter fabric, but I did not like it on this. So I pivoted and did a restart on this. I am using Sulky 1071 and DMC for the animals. So this is where I'm at. I have all of page 1 done and most of page 2, just that very bottom corner for page 2. This is on my WIP Go board for me to work on a couple more times this year. I think the goal will just be able to potentially get another half a page done after the page finish. But I'm just using shades of red and pink for the animals. Pink is my favorite color, and those colors seem to look really nice on this fabric. Next to that white Sulky. I know that this one is going to take me forever to do, but that is okay. I am learning more about the process of stitching and enjoying actually working on the project than finishing it, because most of my projects, when I finish them, they are given away, and so I like having them in my hands and working on them. And that one the Sulky is just one strand over one, and DMC is the two flosses. Okay, next is Pisces by Nora Corbett. And this is what she looks like. I tried to get creative and do her on a fun fabric. And I'm thinking maybe that backfired on me a little bit. I don't know how in love I am with this. So let me know if you guys think I should restart this on a calmer fabric, because I'm not in love with it. I don't enjoy working on this fabric. But I'm working on a 32 count even weave that I got from Fabric Flare. I can't remember what it's called, but it's this very starry Cosmo kind of material. And this is where I'm at. I've stitched that like top crown and started on the fish. I even have some beads in there and they're really pretty. It looks really pretty. I just don't like working on this fabric. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should that be a restart, or should I just tough it out and work on it how I have it? That's just a project for me. It's not a gift for anyone. So there's no kind of, you know, time frame rush on that. Okay, next is the Red, White, and Blue sampler by Erin Elizabeth Designs. And this is what it looks like. This one is so fun. I love stitching patriotic. 4th of July is my favorite holiday. I am stitching this from floss that was in my stash, so similar to the called for, but my own. And I'm stitching it on a 36 count linen from Bestitch Me called Ledger. Yeah, and that looks pretty true. It kind of reminded me of like old parchment, which I thought was really neat. So I have the top corners done. That's the width of the pattern. I'm thinking about taking the alphabet out in this and moving the whole design up, but I'm not really sure yet. So we'll have to see. I do normally I like stitching alphabets, but for some reason I was thinking about taking this one out. So let me know what you guys think on that one. I'm not sure, but that one's fun to work on. I think I only worked on that for about 2 days before I put it away. So that one's really pretty. All right. And this project is Winter at Rosewood Manor by Brenda Gervais. I am stitching it on the called for fabric with the called for floss. It took me forever to get the called for fabric, so I actually didn't start this one until the end of last year. So looks like December 22nd of 2022 is when I started this, and this is what it looks like. I have a very piddly start on it, but and here we go. This is where I'm at. So I just have that one, that one bird done, starting the house next to him. There's a lot left to go. I'm actually really excited to get to that border. I think that'll be really pretty. I am doing this 1/2 on this one. And the called for fabric is Brenda's Brew. It's a 36 count, and I am stitching it with the called for overdyed, with the exception of I could not get the white that it called for the snow. So I have 2 options here, Gentle Art Oatmeal, and I have Gentle Art Picket Fence. So I will decide when I get there, but that's what they look like on the fabric. So let me know what you guys think, oatmeal or picket fence, because I could not get the called for, which is roasted marshmallow. I could not find roasted marshmallow. So, and I do have every opening flower all kitted up and ready to go, but I want to finish Manor at Quaker Hill first, and then I'll start that one. Okay, next is the Beautiful sampler, and this one is by Twin Peak Primitives. I started this after I saw Kia B post an Instagram post about it. She was doing a stitch along for this, and I'll show it to you here on my, this is what it looks like. It says, "Don't be afraid, just believe." And while my family is not religious or spiritual, we were going through some very big changes, some very scary things happened in our family in June, and this helped to get me through. Just that mantra of don't be afraid, just believe. You know, when scary things are happening with your kids, you just have to believe that you will make it through. And so I pretty much stitched on this monogamously through June and into July. I am stitching this on an unnamed Bee Stitch Me. It's a 32 count even weave of some kind. I can't tell if you guys can see it all. I hope you can. But I have 3 corners done. I'm very happy with this. It's very fun to stitch on, very quick. I did not leave myself margins on the top and bottom that I normally would, so that was a little bit scary, but it does fit, so it'll just be a little bit tight. Go on Instagram if you would like to know more about this. Kia B Quilting is hosting a Sal, the Don't Be Afraid Sal, and she has beautiful meaning behind. She did the sampler, the stitch on this, the sample stitch on this one, the original one, and then she chose to restitch it too. But yeah, so the Don't Be Afraid Sal, and it is called the Beautiful Sampler by Twin Peak Primitives. And I am stitching with the called for DMC on that one. Okay, next is Violet's Blue by Blackbird Designs. That's what it looks like. I'm doing this as an anniversary stitch for my husband and I. Like I said, we have been married for almost 12 years. It'll be 12 years in October, October 14th. And I started this 2 years ago on our way to Hawaii in an airport. So this is where I'm at. I cannot remember the name of this fabric, but it is a Picture This Plus. It's very purple gray, very soft and nice to work on. Most likely a 30, it looks like a 32 count, but I can't tell for sure. But I am stitching it 2/2, except the words, which is 1/1. And I do have another kind of predicament on this one. I am curious if I should stitch the flowers underneath the house. So there are words down there that say, I love but you, and I will stitch that. But there's like a whole garden kind of down here. So far, I have only stitched the border to the end of this hill, and I'm thinking to end it here without those flowers. Just the hill with the words. What do you all think? So last time I worked on this, I think it got called on my WIP Go board a month or two ago, and that was when I stitched the outline of that house, the shutters, the windows, and the stoop. So now I just have to fill in that house, and that'll be fun. So yeah, and I am stitching this with my own stash conversion because this came in the mail. This always happens. I order something and it comes in the mail the day before I'm leaving for a trip, and I want to work on it on the trip. So I just pull from stash what I have and I start it, and it, you know, usually works out. Excuse me. All right. Next is another Beauty and the Beast pattern. This is called Bella, Quaker Fantasies by Aury, A-U-R-Y-T-M. Aury T-M. Bella. I do not have a lot done on this. I am stitching this on a 32 count Belfast linen that I got from Acorns and Threads. It's in the color Blush. I actually got this to start a Mirabilia or Nora Corbett on, and then I ended up starting this project on it. So I'm just working in that top chandelier there, and that is all done. So next I think I'm gonna work on the big motif here next. Get that big hunk of stitching out of the way. I also started this after WIP Go, so it's not on any boards. This I just pull out when I feel like it. And I am stitching this with the called for floss. I just ordered everything from 1-2-3 Stitch when I saw that one. Okay, next is a Red Cottage by Plum Street Samplers. That's what it looks like. This one's really fun to work on. I'm stitching this on a 40 count linen called Fog that I got from 1-2-3 Stitch. Picture this plus it looks like. And I'm stitching it with the called for floss. And this is where I am. Last time I stitched on this was probably about a month ago, a couple weeks ago, and I got the outlines of those windows in. I originally only had like this corner of this house done, so I stitched all the way up in those windows, and it took me probably 2 days. It's a really nice, like lightly modeled fabric. Easy to see for a 40 count, which is nice. All right, next is Summer Quakers by Rosewood Manor. This was a start along, stitch along that Bridget, the museum stitcher, and Megan, the Seattle stitcher, started, and they have a whole crew of people that are doing it with them. But I jumped on this when they started it. I am stitching this on a 28 count Be Stitch Me even weave called Pink Chocolate, Strawberry Chocolate, that I love. I love, love, love this fabric. And I am stitching it with the called for Valdani floss. So that's what I have done. Last time I worked on this was in August, and I finished this big flower motif over here. So yeah, and the modeling is showing up really nice on that. The Valdani floss is really pretty to work with, but kind of a pain because it's so thick on a 28 count, which is what it is called for. But so I am stitching it the way it's called for. It's just is kind of a labor of love. And I did take my Valdani off the spools and put it on floss drops. That way, this is just so much easier for me to work with than from the spools. I felt like I was just losing extra floss everywhere. So, okay, that one is done. And then I know that Bridget has talked about doing all of the seasons and starting them. And so I'm looking forward to when that happens. Okay. Next is Aphrodite by Nora Corbett, Mirabilia. This is what she looks like. I was encouraged to start this when I saw Jordan the Tattoo Stitcher. Hers was nearly complete and made me love it so much. And so I'm not really a big mermaid person, but I love this one. I'm stitching with the called for floss on a, I think it goes like this, 32 count Lugana by Be Stitch Me called High Tide. Yeah. It's a little brighter and yeah, like that. So that's more of what the fabric looks like in person. There is Kreinik in here, and there will be beads in here, and she's just sparkly and beautiful, and I am very excited for her. All right. We are almost at an hour, and we're not doing that bad, actually. I'm pretty surprised. Okay, next is Vintage Flowers by Jeanette Douglas Designs. I'm stitching this on a 40 count parchment by Weeks. Sorry, I gotta get the picture out of this bag. And this is what it looks like. I got this pattern so that I could try 40 count. So while I was waiting for my 40 count from XG Designs to show up for the Saxon sampler, I ordered this from Hollis Hands Creates, I think, so that I could just kind of dip my toes in and kind of get used to it to make sure it wasn't going to be impossible to do. I'm stitching this with some called for stash, or some called for floss, but others from Stash. And this is where I'm at. So I have most of that middle motif done. I just have to finish the vase. I haven't worked on this one in a while. And there's my flosses. And it's just a mixture of different overdyes that I pulled from Stash for this. Okay, next we have Quaker Snowflakes from Hello from Liz Matthews, and I will have to insert a picture of this one. I don't keep it in the bag just because I was working on it so much that it was just getting abused, and so I didn't want it to get ruined. So I am stitching this on an 18 count fabric. I think it's called Smoky, but I'm not sure, that I got from Hobby Lobby. And this is where I am. I am doing my own floss on this. Mostly overdyes. The bird is a DMC. And I think the Glad Tidings is a DMC. But everything else is an overdyed, and I would be happy to share that with you all if you'd like. This one is almost done. It is on my WIP Go board, so I'm hoping to get this finished in the next WIP Go call. All right, next is Christmas tree decorations, which is a pattern I got from Etsy, which I will try to insert a picture of for you. I got this from Madison Patterns on Etsy. I'm stitching it 2/2 on a 36 count Space Rock Be Stitch Me fabric I got from their Space Box. I'm stitching it with Anchor Floss 0072 and 0970. I don't know if you can tell, that's like a deep red. And the fabric is opal and shiny and beautiful. The whole pattern will not fit on this piece of fabric, so I'm having to crop. There is an ornament that hangs lower than this one, and I'm gonna have to change it and pull it up a bit. And I don't think it's wide enough to fit the whole design either. So I will make some changes on this. I usually work on this in July when I'm visiting my grandma for 4th of July, for Christmas in July stitching. And then let's see if I can kind of tell that's a deep purpley red, and that color. I also have a gray in here to use for some of the other snowflakes if I feel it needs some more contrast. Okay, this next one I don't have a picture of, not even one that I can insert, unfortunately. It is a pattern I started 2 years ago. I got from Etsy, and it is called Patriot with Stars. Whoops, excuse me. I do not think that this shop is available anymore. I'm stitching him on an oatmeal, 18 count oatmeal Aida that I have previously stitched another patriotic gnome on. And so it's going to be the two of them together. So this is her. I finished her the summer before. And then this is the Patriot with stars. Like I said, I got it from Etsy, from Cute Broidery was the shop name. Stitching it on an 18 count Aida oatmeal that I got from Michael's. I'm stitching it with DMC from Stash, similar, same colors I used in her, but I was at my grandma's house, so I just used what she had on hand. And I am stitching this from the paper chart. So he'll have under here, this is under this thread, the start of some of the stars that go across him. He has 3 stars that go across his belly. Eventually, someday, this one will get done. I stitched her really quick. I think I stitched her in just a couple weeks, but I was more of a monogamous stitcher back then than I am now. Okay, next I'm going to show you a project I'm stitching for my friend Amanda. So Amanda, if you're watching this, look away, plug your ears. So this is, I actually was just working on this morning, so it's in a Q-snap. So give me one moment, pull this out. This is a Heaven and Earth Designs pattern called Rainbow Babies, artwork by Kathy Amaral, charted by Heaven and Earth. I have cropped this pattern a lot because it is absolutely massive. And I'll kind of show you that in just a second. Let's show you what it looks like first. This is what it looks like. So I'm stitching this for my friend Amanda in honor of pregnancy loss. She's just a fantastic human, and I just wanted her to have something special. So my cropped version is, I have cropped out like 20 something pages. I don't know how far I am on this one because the stats are messed up from all the cropping in Pattern Keeper. So I'll show you. Most of that highlighted area is what I cut out. Most of it. Like I said, over 20 pages of work that I cut out. There is a very thin white line. I don't know if you all can see that. That is my outline, and I am stitching everything inside of that box. So I have over 100,000 stitches left on this stitch. So I am not very far at all. And I was working on it this morning. It was one of my full coverage WIP Go pieces for this month. So this is where I'm at. I have all the way down to the top of the cradle done. So I'm stitching this on an 18 count easy guide 2/1 full cross. I just like that fuller, brighter look. Right now I am working, I'm perking a little bit in this, not a ton, just because all of those threads drive me crazy, and I work on this one more than my other full coverage. But I was working over in here. I finished this square and then came up top and decided to fill in this rainbow piece across the top. I was avoiding it because it's pretty much solid yellow. It's just one color across. So, but I'm working on that because it all needs to get done. And I'm working my way across to the cradle over here. And then I'll go back and I'll typewriter across. So yeah, that's where I am on this. She knows I am making her this project. She does not know what it is. She does not know what it's called. But she does know it's for her. But she wants it to be a surprise, and she also knows that it's going to take 1,000,000 years for me to finish, and that it is absolutely massive. Excuse me. Need that water. Okay. So, next one is called Plant Dragon. I put some back stitches in on this last night. I have to finish this before my daughter's birthday in October. And I put this project off because there's a lot of blended flosses in here, and I don't like using blended floss, especially because it's like 2 or 3 stitches, 5 stitches, and then you switch, and it's just really frustrating. This is what it looks like, or what it will look like. Plant Dragon, I got it on Etsy. Zamborina Alexandra. Stitching with the called for DMC on an 18 count opal Ada that I got from Forbidden Fiber Arts. And like I said, I was working on this last night. You can't even tell it was white back stitching, so there's just a little bit up there. But this is where I am. I'm almost done. There's just a little bit left in the tail. And this is the fabric. It's so pretty. I need to get more of it. I think it's called Falling Leaves. That's what I remember it being called. Every day my daughter asks me, have you worked on my dragon? Have you worked on my dragon? And I usually say no, because I don't like working on it. But we're getting close. Okay, 3 more projects. Next is Sweaters Please. I just started this one a couple weeks ago on September 10th. I am doing my own fabric, or sorry, not my own fabric, my own floss conversion mostly on this. I had a couple of the called for, but I just wanted wanted a fall start. There we go. There's the picture. This is by Cherry Hill Stitchery. Sweaters Please. So far it's stitching up pretty quick, which is really nice. That's what it looks like. And let me get my floss out of, I was working on this yesterday before we left camp. All right, this is where I'm at. I'm stitching this on a 32 count linen by Under the Sea Fabrics called Whimsical Winter that I got in the Christmas box from Autumn Lane Stitchery. And then, yeah, I was working on these orange leaves yesterday. So I finished this one and I got part of the outline of this one. It was just too hard to work on in the car with all the bouncing going through those windy roads coming home from the coast. But that's where I'm at. This one's fun. It should stitch up pretty quick. If you're interested in my conversion, I'd be happy to share it. I am stitching 2/2 on that one. All right, next I have another Nora Corbett. It lives in this box because there's so much of it. It's just the best way to keep it all condensed. I am stitching this on a 32 count Jobelin by Bestitch Me. It is unnamed, that I got from a Friday night fight night. I'll have to put a picture of this project in because I don't have it with me. I tend to take those Nora Corbetts and Mirabilias and I don't leave them in my project because I don't want them to get ruined. And I make a working copy of the pattern so that I can highlight and mark off what I'm doing. All right, this is where I'm at on this one. That table is a Water Lilies floss. This is the first time I've ever used a Water Lilies and it turned out so pretty. I really liked working on that. And then I'm working on the girls, filling in that one girl's dress. The teapot is done. It just needs backstitch, and I think there might be a couple beads in there. But that's where I'm at. There's another whole girl over there. Hopefully I can pop a picture in for you all to see. But Tea by Nora Corbett. I bought that one as soon as it came out. It reminds me of my sister and I, or my twins, spending time together. Okay, guys, this is, whoops, sorry about that. The last project, the very last one I have currently in my WIPs. I do have a whole like stack of WIPs that are in trouble. So that might get UFO'd, but right now they're just in timeout, and maybe we'll do those on another one. Okay, so this one is My Home in the Garden by Hello from Liz Matthews. My cover is all beat up. This is what it looks like. And I am stitching this with the called for DMC on the called for fabric color. I'm stitching on an 18 count, Not Another Sampler by Bestitch Me, and I'm almost done. This is where I'm at. I am just working on that top border now. I was working on this yesterday in the car. That border is really repetitive, so it's super easy. You don't even have to look at the pattern, except for when you get close to the top so you know where to turn. But that's where I'm at. I'm super excited for this one. This is on my WIP Go board a couple more times this year. I'm hoping that I will be able to finish it. We have a road trip coming up in October to Spokane, and so I'm hoping I'll be able to finish it then. But you know, this is one of those bittersweet ones where I love it so much, so I don't want it to end, but at the same time I want it done so that I can hang it up on my wall because I love it. Okay. And that is everything. That is all of my WIPs. I hope you all enjoyed what you saw. You found something to inspire you to stitch. I have ideas for future videos, potentially kit parades or seasonal patterns, or I can do my finishes that I still have. I don't have a lot of them. Like I said, I give most of them away, but I do have a couple. Anyway, yeah. So my name is Brandi, Stitchin in Oregon. You can find me on Instagram. I hope that you like this video. If you made it to the end, maybe put a special little emoji in there for me so that I know you made it this far. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you all again soon. Thanks. Bye.